And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to week number 4 of the Sodak iRacing series here on Advantage Racing TV. Volusia, once again, but this time street stocks. And we are looking to have one great night of racing and interesting night of racing as well. As with me always this week, Sean Neested is here once again. Sean, thank you for joining us once again. And I don't know about you, but I'm definitely excited to see these street stocks here at Volusia.
Absolutely, and as always, it is my pleasure to be here with you. And Scotty, we welcome you back to the broadcast. A little under the weather last Wednesday night, so very good to have you here tonight as we go back to fendered action for the second time this season during the Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction, and for the first and only time on this 10-week series, we have the street stock. So probably the least amount of horsepower that we're going to be featuring during an event during this 10-week series. But here in week number 4, look for a lot of really close action with these cars on the racetrack. Practice has been interesting. Same track as we were on last week, but it is a completely different kind of racing this week with these street stocks. And when we say street stocks, and we talked about this a little bit last week, Scotty, we're not talking like late model street stocks that folks around here in the South Dakota area are more familiar with. We're talking probably more closer to the USRA or IMCA type stock cars that we're familiar with around here, or as it would be down south, some good old stock car racing on the dirt.
Yeah, and some of these cars actually look like older, Camaros and whatnot as well. So kind of like the old-time looks on these cars with fresh paint schemes, it looks like. So very excited to see what these boys can do tonight. Last week, we had 360s here, and these guys battled not only each other, but the track as well. Like I know you and Ryan had mentioned last week, this track can be difficult to navigate, especially in a sprint car. Now we're moving to street stocks, and I don't know if you've, well, actually, Sean, knowing you probably did. Keeping up with the practices these guys have had all week, how much guys were struggling just to get this track down at the street stock.
Here's the thing. All through practice, earlier tonight even, the driver chat, where all of the drivers can talk to each other through a TeamSpeak channel, there was a lot of, what are you running for gear? I'm down here. I'm up here. What's the difference between this and that? And then they got talking about shock settings and everything else that you can adjust on these cars, just like a real race car. And I think it was either Troy or Travis Shores popped in and said, I spent an hour and I changed every possible setting on here, and I couldn't make the car drive any better. I couldn't make the car drive any worse. And so I think we're going to have some really equal cars tonight, and this might be the one week where setups mean less than it does on most other nights. And so tonight, I really think this event is going to be in the hands of the drivers.
And it might be, Sean. I'm going to pop in here because I've practiced with them as well. That gives me a little more confidence in my driving skill because I couldn't get it to handle either.
Yeah, something about these street stocks. My iRacing experience is not the greatest, and I'm not going to say I'm anything great like some of our front runners are in the Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. But the street stocks are so hard to control, and it's a little bit like real life, right? You don't have a lot of suspension to make the car work. You've got a lot of weight. You've got a lot of rotating mass inside the car. So there's a lot of things working against you as a driver, even on a big half mile like we're going to see these drivers on tonight. So these guys, they're going to have their hands full with these cars at times here tonight. But again, I still think we're going to have a lot of very close racing. And Ryan, don't feel bad because, as I said, these street stocks are a handful.
That they are. I mean, I was putting down comparable lap times to them whenever the track was still tacky, but we had a practice last night where they let the track go to experiment how it would run, and the longer it went on, the slicker it got, and just trying to put the traction down on these cars is a handful.
As Jerry Van Sickle would say, oh, hold on, mama. She's a slick one.
Oh, yes.
J-Van's going to be a busy man here with some announcing duties coming up here very soon with some races on his plate. You guys are busy again coming up soon. We're early in the broadcast, but let's give you guys a plug. You're going to be busy this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend we will be back at the new Raceway Park in Jefferson, South Dakota, and for 5 classes of IMCA racing, as well as the main event. The Tri-State Late Models will be coming in, invading the new Raceway Park once again, like they did last year. And glad to see them come back, and can't wait for the great racing action to come. You can tune in live to www.advantageracing.tv to catch all of that night's action. So we hope you tune in and enjoy the show just as much as we enjoy bringing it to you guys.
And I think you guys are going to be in good hands. Myself, I can't make it, still with this pandemic and the situation down there. And I know Mike, who runs the Tri-State Late Model Series, he's got some similar things going on in his life. So I believe Dale Furby and Colin Lloyd will be down there with you guys and running the Tri-State portion of the show. So you guys will be in good hands with that. Looks like we've still got, we're at about 7 minutes of practice to go with these street stocks. If you're tuning in for the first time to watch the Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction, first, thank you for joining us on this AdvantageRacing.tv production. Program tonight going to be very similar to a real race. Anything that you would go to, we'll have qualifying time trials to start things off as we work through what we would call hot laps right now. We'll have our heat races tonight with the top 3 from all 4 of our heat races transferring on to the A main. We'll have a pair of last chance qualifiers with the top 4 of those going on to tonight's big dance as well. Scotty, you got to sit back and watch the show last week. Anything stand out to you during that broadcast? Sprint cars from last week, but anything that maybe you think these drivers could carry over from last week to this week, seeing that we're at the same racetrack?
I think track conditions mainly. I mean, you don't realize how quick this track actually slicks off. So, I mean, it like you said earlier in the broadcast, Sean, I mean, setup is going to become key here tonight. So I think these drivers really need to pay attention to the track condition, to how it breaks down over the heat races, and then coming to the A main, because it'll probably, I know they reset the track between the warm-up and the A main there. So change of setup once, and maybe prepare for slight tacky to slick or whatever, and we'll see what these drivers can do.
Going to agree with you on that. Also, the little things about this racetrack, I think it'll be good for some of these drivers to be on it again. That inside wall that a lot of times when you're running the bottom, you've got to hug so closely to it. I'm watching Brandon Grilly race around the track now, run that bottom side, and that's one thing you've got to be careful about on that bottom of the racetrack, is making contact with that inside wall, and then also knowing the top side of the racetrack that kind of shelves off when you get up there really close to the wall, especially in turn number 4. If you're not familiar with what shelves off means, instead of being banked all the way to the wall, it flattens out, and if you get on that, it sucks you right out to the wall, and can really be a hard area to handle your race car. So I think it'll be interesting to watch that tonight too, as these drivers continue to get a hold of these street stocks racing around this Barberville, Florida half-mile dirt track.
I can definitely attest to that shelving off effect, and it's the turns 1 and 2s where I normally hit it. I mean, I was actually able to set more in turns 3 and 4 just fine, but yeah, I felt as I'm driving, I only got a controller, so I don't have the steering wheel, but yeah, it does shelf off in 1 and 2, and it definitely throws you for a loop, pulls you up to the wall, like you said.
Should also mention, coming into this week's event, week number 4 of the Jordan Opdahl Construction presented Sodak iRacing League, we've got a new points leader coming into this week's event with 3 in the books, and it's John Coots. John drives the number 13 car. We'll be seeing him on the speedway here tonight. Currently sits 19th quick in hot laps times. I don't know exactly how we said it. Somebody said I said something along the lines last week that John doesn't do anything spectacular. And I don't know if I used those exact words, but he may not be one of those drivers that we're talking about up there on the podium every single week, but he's so very consistent with iRacing, and that's exactly what has propelled him into the points lead after 3 weeks of racing. Caleb Volz, though, just 7 points behind him, and Ice Cold Michelob, we'll see him in his 23 car tonight that looks just like his late model street stock. And Nate Barger completing the top 3 in points. Nate has been so fast this year with his 98 cars. He sits 3rd in points. Travis Shores, who got the win week 1 at Knoxville in the 360 sprints, he's 4th in the points. And Tanner Koster, who has a pair of podium finishes both weeks 1 and 3, finishing 3rd. He sits number 5 in the point standings. They're followed by Tyler Johnson. Tyler got the win week 2 at Charlotte in the late models. He's 6th in the point standings, but he missed the A main last Wednesday night, had some bad luck in his heat race, and then just had some troubles with traffic getting through the last chance showdown, and he now sits 6th in the points after leading it coming into last week. Troy Shores runs 7th. Logan Christensen, Timothy Allerdings, who took the back row challenge, and Bruce Jones sit in the top 10 spots in the points coming into week number 4 of the Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction here on Advantage Racing TV. And that talking there, Ryan and Scotty, how 1 week can really change things so quickly. Looking last week with Tyler Johnson falling from 1st to 6th, just 1 event and 1 bit of bad luck. And when we get to our heat races, those things are absolutely critical here tonight. And with 2.5 minutes away from time trials, let's talk about that. You guys have seen how important a good run in a heat race can be.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, heat races means everything for starting position in the A main and just transferring to the A main at that. So you don't make that top 4, you're going to have to come out of a B feature. And from the B features that we have seen, Sean, if you start in the back of a B feature, you have a lot of work to do to work through the field to get to the front and make that A main, because as the top 4 transfers out of each B feature. So definitely critical and crucial to make sure you're in the top 4 right out of your heat races.
When you have such a strong field like we have with the Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction, it's not easy making the A main. Let's use last week for example. We had 50 cars last Wednesday night. 30 of them didn't make the show. That's the majority. So that tells you just how difficult it is to make the show here in this program. Right now, we have 40 drivers set to race here tonight. So just half of them are going to make the A main. And then you want to talk about drivers who are going to go directly to the A. That's only 12. So that leaves everybody else to come out of those B mains. It is a fair format, but it is a very difficult format with so many cars competing on this league.
And it's the same thing, on the real racetrack too. I mean, heat races are real crucial to get to the A main. I mean, Sean, you've seen it, me out on the track, mainly did a lot of B mains last year trying to get to the A main. Didn't quite make it a few times, but I mean, it is crucial. So looks like practice is done, checkered flag being thrown, and looks like time for qualifying. See what these guys can put up for lap times, and then on to the heat races.
All right, so we'll get to see some of these drivers hit the track, as they'll hit it all at the same time. If you're, again, just tuning in for the first time with us, through the greatness of technology, everybody gets the time trial at the same time. And boy, do I wish we could do this at the actual racetracks. Wouldn't that be nice? But everybody, all 40 of our competitors, going to hit the track over the next 2 to 3 minutes and get their 2-lap qualifying session. So Scotty and I, we're going to do the best to keep this up, but the times, they come in fast and furious, and we'll see drivers pop to the top, and then suddenly they'll be 10th on the chart as everyone gets their qualifying laps in here tonight, Scotty.
Yeah, it's definitely not as strung out as it would be at a regular racetrack. Just like you mentioned, Sean, I mean, we've had a lot all of a sudden pop up. Connor Hamilton now with the fast time with 20.36 in the 03 car. Austin Opdahl, now Trey Thiesenvitz, 20.16. He holds the top spot now. Just all these times popping in so quickly here. So Connor Hamilton being knocked down to second. Dusty Sights back in Dylan Peterson now back in 10th. Tyler Johnson with a 20.06 takes the top spot away from Visovitz. Tanner Koster now sits in the third spot for the time trials, and just as I speak, gets bumped back to fourth. Troy Schurz now holds second. Tyler Johnson still with the quick time in that number 5 car.
Keep in mind, we've got 4 qualifying heat races tonight. The invert in those heat races is 4. And so right now I'm looking at like 16th place. Connor Hamilton is down at 16th quick. And just like that, he's bumped out of the invert. Mark Jacobson, and just like that, say his name, he's bumped out of the transfer, or out of the invert. Looks like Timothy Allerding's right now sitting 16th quick, which will get him a pole position in one of our heat races. And he's bumped. Mitch Lupkus now sits 16th. And last week's A-main winner, Dylan Workman, he's bumped out of the invert. He sits 17th. So we'll have to watch them come from deeper in the heat race starting grids, as if anybody's left to qualify, they've only got about 40 seconds left to do so. Tyler Johnson sits quick time at a 20.06, a 20.15 for Troy Schurz, second quick. Trey Thiesenfitz in the 53, third quick at 20.16. Tanner Koster in the 97 at 20.19 is fourth quick, and Michaela Volts at 20.21. Just edges out Nate Barger with a 20.21 at sixth quick. Kyle Roseboom right now seventh quick at a 20.23, at 20.23 as well for Brett Nielsen. Don Garrettson Jr. ninth, 20.25, and John Coots, your points leader, 20.27, completing the top 10 for time trials. Shane Lewis, Bruce Jones, Travis Shores, Alex Schriever, Austin Opdahl following them. Just like that, Scotty, it's time to go racing. Heat race number 1 brought to you by Jake's Customs Rods. Scotty, let's let you, since you had a week off, bring us that Heat 1 starting grid.
Alrighty, let's take a look here. Looks like Travis Schurz is going to have the pole, but Don Garrettson Jr. to his outside. Inside, row number 2, Michaela Volts in the 23. On the inside, Tyler Johnson to his outside. Dylan Workman is going to start off P5 with Connor Hamilton to his outside. Derek Fisher inside of row 4 with Brandon Grilly to his outside. Chris Schrum inside of row 5 with Corey Klumper starting P10, and starting shotgun on the field, the number 22 of Caleb Johnson.
All right, so we talk about paint schemes in this quite a bit, right? Let's make Ryan do some work. I want to bring up a couple of cars here. First, the 41 or 410 of Brandon Grilly starting deep in the field. He's got the 41M on there, throwback to his dad, Marty Grilly. And Marty, in the late model street stocks at I-90 Speedway, he's bringing back the 41M number this year, so I'm excited about that. Starting right in front of him, Connor Hamilton. Connor is the nephew of Matt Sturwald, if I'm remembering right. And check out that throwback Matt Sturwald scheme on the number 3 ride there, starting outside the third row. And then let's see if we can get a look at the front of the 23 of Michaela Volts, who's got a 26 on the scoring. Take a look right there in front of the roof. What do you think of that, Scotty? Ice cold Michelob starting in that second row here in heat race number 1.
I mean, you give these guys a nickname, Sean, and they just roll with it. It's just an absolute great thing to see. I wonder if we'll actually see that on his LMS car this year over at I-90.
Boy, I hope so, and I'm sure he's going to watch this and when he's done. And I found out some of these drivers have us on in the background, using us a little bit like a spotter. So Michelob, if you're listening right now, yes, you need to do that to your car. And when you get a Busch Light later tonight, make sure to put fuel in your car. And there's a couple other drivers. We're not going to talk about gas with them tonight.
Yeah, no, we won't mention that, but looks like as we're one lap to green here, the one Travis Schurz on the pole and Don Garrettson Jr. to his outside in the 27. It's time for street stocks at Volusia here at the half mile, and yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy some racing.
Absolutely. I like that 27. Don Garrettson Jr. started his career at hobby stocks and then the late model street stocks. So good to see kind of having one of those cars back on the track, as immediately it's Travis Shores out to the lead. He'll bring him off turn number 2 as Garrettson gets a little high on the racetrack, bolts into that second spot, and Tyler Johnson into the final transfer in that Valvoline number 5. He'll work the top groove as we come off of turn number 4. The first lap of the night goes into the books here in the Jake's Custom Rods Heat Race number 1.
Travis Schurz with the race lead in that one car. Ice Cold Michelob in second. Johnson up on the high side trying to get a run on the 23 car. Not going to be able to make it stick as Don Garrettson Jr. dives to the bottom of the track along with Dylan Workman, your top 5. Schurz starting to walk away from second place a little bit, but Michaela Volt's keeping him in his sights. And Tyler Johnson still running in that third spot. Don Garrettson Jr. to the inside of the track now, trying to get to the back bumper of Tyler Johnson in the 5 car as we're going to click off another lap here, Sean.
And it looks like Garrettson's got a peek to the inside. That is the race for the final transfer spot. Again, just 3 transfer out of these 10-lap heat races. Dylan Workman still on the outside looking in as well. That is, keep in mind, last week's A-Main winner. So now we've got that battle for the second spot. Johnson was able to fend off the challenge from Garrettson. Took a look to the outside of the 23 of Volts. He'll peek to the outside a bit here in turn 1, now into turn number 2. Johnson trying to get that run down the back straightaway as they race towards turn number 3.
As we're on board with Don Garrettson Jr. there for just a minute, now back on board with him. Trying to run the bottom side to see if he can get a run to the back bumper of the 5 car. Just 1 spot out of the transfer. Meanwhile, though, here comes Tyler Johnson on the high side trying to get around the 23 as Travis Schurz still with the race lead. Johnson and Michaela both side by side coming into the corner. Who's going to prevail coming out as we're halfway? Tyler Johnson now moves up to your second place spot, shuffling the 23 car back to third.
So there goes Johnson, showing the high line is ripe for the picket, and he'll set his sights on the leader. He's got about 4/10 of a second interval to erase if he wants to get to the back bumper of the number 1 machine. The top 3 pulling away just a bit. Race for 4th, 5th, and 6th getting to be a tight one between Don Garrettson, Connor Hamilton, and Dylan Workman. They race for a position, but that's for a better starting spot in tonight's B-Main as the top 3 starting to check out here in the closing laps.
Like you just said, Sean, top 3 checking out from the rest of the field. 3-car battle here for that 4th spot, though. You have the 3-car and the 27 side by side now, along with the 75 of Workman. The 3 way to the inside of the track, Connor Hamilton trying to get to that 4th spot for a good start in the B-Main. Garrettson now up the track with Dylan Workman as we have 1 lap to go. 2 more corners for your leaders up front, Sean. Travis Schurz still with the race lead, Tyler Johnson in second, and Michaela Volt's your final transfer spot as these guys are still battling out behind them.
So Johnson will get a bit of a run. Final set of turns here in the opening heat race. Johnson's going to give it a go on the high line, but it is Travis Schurz picking up the victory in the 1. Tyler Johnson second, Michaela Volt's third, Hamilton, Garrettson, Workman in the top 6, then Derek Fisher, Chris Schrum, Brandon Grilly, Caleb Johnson, and Corey Klumper, your finishing order in the Jake's Custom Rods Heat Race number 1. Heat 2 into the staging area. We'll take a look at starting lineup for this one. On the pole will be 31 Alex Schriever, not his outside, your points leader, the number 13, and the Jake's Custom Rods entry, that is John Coots. Nate Barger in the 98, he'll line up inside row number 2 with Troy Schurz in the 12 on the outside of your opening row. Timothy Allerding starts inside the 3rd row. He'll drive the 19. Matt Jaratowski in the 1J on his right there in row number 3. Row 4, Lance Ripka in the 54 and Brian Hoeing in the 132. And row number 5, Dusty Seitz in the 3 inside, Dylan Nelson in the 11 outside, and Michael Rhodes driving car number 70 will come off the tail of this starting grid. Another 10 laps will be the distance, and the top 3 finishers will go on to tonight's A-Main. Should say the 0 of Alex Schriever on the pole position. You'll see 31 on the scoring, but that is some bright colors on that 0. And John Coots, it is typical black with a little bit of blue and white, number 13 there in row 1. Row 2, I love the look of these cars in that second row. Nate Barger on the inside, got that old school paint scheme, and on the outside it looks identical to the late model street stock he was driving last year. That's the 12 of Troy Schurz. So again, some cool paint schemes here in the Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. And, you know, you can't have a stock car race at a track in the South without a Dale car. Look back there. Dusty Sights got an old Goodrich service number 3 with Wrangler on it. He'll be digging like Dale here in the Bolts Concrete Construction Heat Race number 2.
Absolutely. I mean, great to see some new school and old school wraps just being mixed together. So definitely, if that last heat race showed us anything, I mean, we're in for another treat here with this heat race and then with the rest of the racing to follow tonight, Sean.
Absolutely. 10 laps will be the distance as we get set for the green. Ooh, I gotta crack a beer open here. There we go. And we're set to go. Hey, we're not playing around here. We are green. Heat race number 2 brought to us by Bolts Concrete Construction is green for the Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. Immediately, it's Alex Schreiber with what has been his best appearance in time trials so far this season. He jumps out to the initial race lead, but here comes that 98 Nate Barger. Barger on that bottom line. That was the preferred groove in heat race number 1, and he'll have the edge as they go by the flag stand to complete the first of 10 laps.
Nate Barger with the lead now. Here comes John Coots in the 13. Going to look to split the difference between Alex Schreiber and Nate Barger. And then currently back and forth with Timothy Allerdings in the 19. Barger now out in front. Oh, a little bobble by the 13 of John Coots. Now on board with Coots in that second spot. Way to the inside, almost on the wall. Trying to run down the 98 of No Lift, Nate Barger. Currently, Alex Schreiber to the inside now. The Top Shelf Racing podcast car to the inside, putting up a great side-by-side battle here with John Coots for that second spot as we ride around the rim with the 19 of Allerdings on the top side, Sean.
And he's on the very top side. Actually, Allerdings got over the cushion, lost some ground to those top 3. And speaking of losing ground, Troy Shores, who started up there in the second row, he now runs in the 5th spot, and he is about 8 car lengths behind fourth place running Timothy Allerdings. Allerdings, though, really trying to make that cushion work as he pressures the 0 of Alex Schreiber for the final transfer spot. And you know, I think, Scotty, there's a little bit of irony here. The Top Shelf Racing Podcast 0 running the bottom group.
A little bit of irony indeed. Well, I hope Austin would be proud, but still out in front, though. Nate Barger in the 98, John Coots in second. Here comes Allerdings on the top side again as Schreiber now moves to the top side in that Top Shelf Racing Podcast paint scheme there. Allerdings in the 19, battling with Alex Schreiber for that third and final transfer spot with 4 laps to go, looks like, as we are now on board with Allerdings pulling right to the back bumper of the 0 machine. John Coots in front of Alex Schreiber, as you see, with Nate Barger still out front. Allerdings with quite a run to the back bumper. Oh, bobble a little bit from the 0 car, and here comes the 19 on the inside.
There's another car coming after them. If the Allerdings and Schreiber battle gets any hotter here, the 12 of Troy Shores may just capitalize on that to put his car directly into the A main. Allerdings to the inside, Schreiber now on the top, and right behind them, the 12 of Troy Shores. Just a couple of laps to go here in the Bolts Concrete Construction Heat Race number 2, and the final transfer spot now has 3 cars with their hats in the ring trying to take that final transfer as we race back to turn 3.
Schreiber with a slight advantage coming off the last corner as we're going to go on board with Troy Schurz now, who has a great view of that battle in front of him on the outside looking in, trying to decide if he wants to make a move for that last transfer spot. Alex Schreiber still on the top, Allerdings on the bottom. One final lap to go as they come off of turn 3 and 4. Who's it going to be for the transfer spot? 3 wide. Alex Schreiber gets the third and final transfer spot, and he got 4th?
No, sorry. He did get third.
No, he did get third. And he's going to punch his ticket straight to the A main.
Nate Barger, John Coots, Alex Schreiber finishing the top 3 spots. Allerdings and Troy Shores completing the top 5. Then Nelson, Ripka, Jaretowski, Hoing, Seitz, and Rhodes, your 11-car finish of that one. And I believe that's the first A main this series that Alex Schreiber is going to make, if memory serves me correct. So congratulations to him, relatively new to the whole iRacing game, and It's not easy, so he'll make the A main here tonight. Heat race number 3, brought to us by Rapid Speedway of Rock Rapids, Iowa. Starting lineup goes like this. It's Austin Opdahl in the pole position. Shane Lewis outside of him in the 25. Row 2, the 42, Kyle Roseboom, and the 53 of Trey Thiesenfitz will be the fastest qualifier in heat race number 3. He starts outside the second row. Row number 3, Kevin Plagman, the 57 inside, Peyton Seitz in the 325 to his right. Row number 4, Caleb Ike in the 43 and the 14 of Andrew Allers. The fifth row has Dylan Sampson in the 37 and Anthony Anderson in the 63. And Bob Bestman coming off the tail with the 44 tonight. So 11 cars, 10 laps, top 3 go directly to tonight's A main. The A main brought to us by Impact Landscape Designs, but right now heat race number 3 on the racetrack is brought to us by Rapid Speedway.
Now, you mentioned something about custom paint schemes. Can you guess what's going on with the 53 of Trey Thiesenfitz?
I have, Trey does race car graphics for a side job. I don't know, trying to be cool. Racing graphics guys sometimes have the weirdest graphics on their cars, and that number 53 on the very front, I don't know. I don't think the scorers would like that. He'd probably get yelled at a real racetrack to get the duct tape out and put some actual numbers on the car.
Well, we'll definitely try not to yell at him tonight.
Was that the number? Was that the answer I was supposed to give, or no?
Maybe. I was thinking name the movie, but okay.
Oh, well, no. I also like, you'll see him scored as 20, but Austin Opdahl with that 14 looking ride, and I think that looks like Todd Staley's car, but if it's not supposed to be Todd Staley's car, it certainly looks like it. As we're green here in the Rapid Speedway heat race number 3, and we've got a close one here as we race to turn number 3 for the first time.
Shane Lewis in that second spot with the 14 of Austin Opdahl out in front. 3 wide for that third spot now as a 57 splitting the difference now. Oh, Trey Thiesenfitz almost got her sideways coming off of the corner there, but in that Mountain Dew 57 car, definitely running side by side now for second, along with the 40 of, I believe that's, or 42 of Rosenblum, excuse me, as a tight battle for the top 3 spots.
Yeah, they are side by side for the transfer spot. Kevin Plagman in the 57, working the inside of the track. Kyle Roseboom on the cushion. That happening behind Shane Lewis and your leader, Austin Opdahl. Opdahl leads him off turn number 4, but now the top 5 cars starting to bunch up. Lewis getting a run on the bottom of the racetrack, starting to challenge for the lead, as Plagman also gets there in the 57, and Roseboom still right there battling with the top 3, and not far behind them, Thiesenfitz still in striking distance. A close one going on here at Rapid Speedway heat race number 3.
That it is Plagman in that 57 Mountain Dew voltage machine as we're going to go on board with him now, trying to get to the back bumper of the Shane Lewis in the 25. The 14 of Austin Opdahl out in front. Like you said, that Todd Staley looking machine has not hit the wall yet, so we can't give him the nickname the Wall Punisher, but still out in front. As it looks like Shane Lewis is going to pull side by side on the bottom here, going to try a slide job, not going to stick. Shane Lewis almost with the race lead. Here comes Plagman now on the bottom. Roseboom in the 42 on the top side now, and Thiesenfitz into the mix. Who is going to take this as we're halfway, Sean?
Boy, it is a close one. They're 3 wide behind a 2 wide race for the lead. Back to turn number 1 they will go. Lewis on the bottom. Last time as he slid up the racetrack, Plagman had to lift, and now Plagman has fallen from 3rd to 5th. Side by side for the lead. Lewis on the bottom, Austin Opdahl on the top. In the final transfer spot is Roseboom, but working the bottom is Trey Thiesenfitz closing in as we go into the final few laps of this one. It is anybody's battle up front. Who will be the top 3 to transfer in this one? No idea yet, as Opdahl back to the race lead.
Opdahl with the race lead on board with Shane Lewis in the 25 right now. Throw a blanket over the top 5 cars here. Only 3 will transfer to the A main as the 25 regains the lead. Now 3 wide for second place though. Opdahl and Roseboom and Thiesenfitz from top of the track to the bottom, leaving Flagman outside looking in as he dives to the bottom, almost putting it 4 wide now. Only 3 cars make it to the A. Shane Lewis, 1 lap to go. Here comes Opdahl on the outside. Thiesenbitz now up to second. It's going to be anybody's race here. The 25 still out in front. Thiesenbitz now in that second spot. Opdahl in third, as Opdahl now with a run on the top side. Here comes Rosenboom, little shot in the shorts to Thiesenbitz, and Plagman is there as well. Who's going to take the third spot? Thiesenbitz with the third and final transfer spot. Austin Opdahl takes home second place, and Shane Lewis takes home the heat race win. Oh my goodness, what a race for those top 3 spots.
Another good one. Heat race number 3 from Rapid Speedway into the books. Then final heat race from Econowash Laundromat. Ready to rumble onto the racetrack. Scotty DeYoung, let's take a look at how this one shapes up.
And let's take a look at the starting lineup here. Starting on the front row, Mitch Lupkus to the inside with Bruce Jones to the outside. Brett Nielsen inside of row number 2 with Tanner Koster on his outside. Inside of row 3 is going to Mark Jacobson with Austin Hahn to his outside. Inside of row number 4, it's Skylar Devaney with Ryan McCarty to his outside. Dylan Peterson, Alec Matea in the 41, going to start inside of row 5 with Brock Strout to his outside.
So that is the starting lineup. 10 cars on the 4th and final heat race tonight, brought to us by Econowash Laundromat. This is Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. Week number 4, watching the street stocks from Volusia, live on a Wednesday night, produced by Advantage Racing.tv. 1 lap from the green on this final heat race. And, we opened the show, Scotty, talking about how good of a show we thought these street stocks would put on. And we've already seen that now in heat race number 3. The track's starting to slick off. That's what we talked about earlier. When this track slicks off, the racing gets better and better, and that's particularly true, I believe, with these street stocks.
And these drivers have not disappointed at all tonight. Like you just mentioned, Sean, track's starting to slick off, so we'll see a lot more closer racing as it all comes down to the driver on these slick tracks, as it looks like we're going to come into turns 3 and 4 to the green. Pace truck is going to dive into the infield. Green flag is going to come out, and we are heat race number 4 racing.
And immediately it is Mitch Lupkus into the lead. He'll lead him down into turn number 1, the 17 of Bruce Jones. Working that top of the racetrack. Here comes the 97 of Tanner Koster through the middle. He'll get to the inside of Jones. That going on right behind Brett Nielsen in the 10. So now 3 cars racing for that second spot as Lupkus tries to check out here early on in this one. 1 lap down, 9 laps to go in the Econowash Laundromat heat race number 4. Just on the outside looking in, that 33 of Austin Hahn looking strong here early going in heat race 4.
And like we saw in the last heat race, cars bunched and great racing side by side, as we're starting to see that now for that second and third spot. Tanner Koster currently holds the final transfer spot into tonight's A main with the 17 of Bruce Jones sitting in 4th. Nielsen in 2nd and Mitch Lupkus in the 23 out in front. Nielsen gets a great run on Lupkus there, but here comes Tanner Koster to the inside, going to try to pull side by side with Brett Nielsen as we're coming on to the front stretch here. Bruce Jones on board with him right now, looking at a great battle for second place as he's going to put it to the inside. And the 23 car of Mitch Lupkus, he's got some company in the form of a 97 car of Tanner Koster, number 10 of Brett Nielsen.
And just like that, Lupkus moved down in the middle, trying to block the advance of both of them. He'll slide up right in front of Nielsen. Nielsen had to lift, and Koster gets the big run. And now we've got 3 cars racing for the lead. Through turn 1, now to turn number 2. Watch Koster get the drive on the bottom of the racetrack. He's challenging the 23 of Lupkus for the lead as they go into turn 3. The 10 of Brett Nielsen still strong on the top. Top 3 all utilizing a different groove, and right there in 4th, Bruce Jones tracking all of them back down as they race for position.
As we are halfway here, you know what they say, the street stocks put on the best show, and they have so far tonight, as Mitch Lupkus with a slight advantage now side by side with Koster. As Mitch Lupkus through the middle groove, Brett Nielsen's going to follow him around in the middle. Tanner Koster on the inside trying to get a great run on that 23 car for that top spot. Your top three is Mitch Lupkus, Tanner Koster, and then Brett Nielsen in the 10 as they start to break away ever so slightly from a fourth place running Bruce Jones coming into the corner here. Mitch Lupkus still through the middle. Brett Nielsen tucked tail behind him as well. Tanner Koster trying to get a run on the bottom, not going to make it work as they come into turn one. Tanner Koster still on the bottom side. Mitch Lupkus up top with a stronger run as we're going to go on board with Mitch Lupkus here. As you can see, side-by-side racing. Wow, what a shot as you see Brett Nielsen just in the corner of your screen now. Still side-by-side with Tanner Koster is a 23 with a slight advantage.
2 laps to go in the final heat race. Top 4 all bunched up once again. 3 transfer with Bruce Jones now having a big drive and looking to the inside of Brett Nielsen. As the dust in the air tonight at Volusia, coming to the white flag, Mitch Lupkus has led it from the drop of the green. He's got a half mile to go to take the win in heat race number 4, but Tanner Koster still looking on his inside.
As it's going to come down to the final 2 turns here, who's going to take this advantage and the third and final transfer spot. Koster throws it in deep on the inside. Mitch Lupkus slides up the track a little bit. Who's it going to be? Mitch Lupkus first. Bruce Jones is going to take home your third and final transfer spot. Tanner Koster taking home P2. Wow, what a fantastic 4 heat races for these street stocks, Sean.
That battle for third settled by 0.04 of a second. So we've put 12 drivers of our 40-some that entered competition here tonight into the A main. It is time for some last chance showdown action. We'll have 2 B mains. Top 4 transferred to the A. They're 12 laps each. Heat race, or make that B main number 1 starting lineup on the racetrack goes like this. Connor Hamilton and Kevin Pflegman will be in row number 1. Row 2, Don Gerritsen Jr., Kyle Roseboom in that second row. Third row, last week's A main winner, the 75 of Dylan Workman and 14 of Andrew Allers. Row 4, Derek Fisher in the 00 and 37 of Dylan Sampson. The 5th row, Chris Schrum and Anthony Anderson. That's the 7 and 63. The 41M of Brandon Grilly inside the 6th row. Bob Bestman starts 12th in the 44. Row number 7, Caleb Johnson and Caleb Ike will line up side by side. And the 8th row, Corey Klumper and Peyton Seitz side by side in that 8th row. 16 cars scheduled onto the racetrack for the first of 2 last chance showdowns. Again, 12 laps the distance. Top 4 go directly or go into tonight's A main, starting deep in the field, however.
Got to talk about that 00 though of Fisher there. That paint scheme there, covered in mud, looks like. Definitely, is that real mud? Is that fake mud? But I mean, whatever it is, definitely one paint scheme that is eye-popping for sure.
I like the back of the car too. The back says, "Please let me win." That's a nice touch.
Normally, you got to work for that, though. It's not just handed to you.
Well, as long as you ask nicely. I mean, you don't ask, the answer's always no.
And I mean, and I know guys that work on race cars. You know, hey, how much do I owe you for that? 12-pack of beer, call it good.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe if he offers a 12-pack, maybe they'll let him win. Who knows?
Yeah. No, not with the money we've got on the line with the weekly finishes plus the points standings. We read off the top 10 earlier tonight. Keep in mind that all of these drivers in the points battle looking for prize money at the end of our 10-week series. We'll see if we get a chance to talk about that again, but right now we've got a race to talk about. 4 transfer spots up for grabs, 12 laps to decide it, and Connor Hamilton leads us to the green.
Connor Hamilton's going to jump out to the early race lead, but here comes Don Gerritsen Jr. on the bottom side, and here comes Pflegman on the top side as well, and then Rosenboom in that number 4 spot as they're going to come into turn number 3. Gerritsen on the bottom, Pflegman up top. Connor Hamilton still out in front with Rosenboom on the top side as well. Hamilton is going to lead lap number 1 of this first B feature as Don Gerritsen Jr. digging hard on the bottom there, trying to get a good run on the 03. Hamilton slips up a little bit. Now we've got 3 wide for the lead with some contact. Pflegman way up the track. Hamilton now pushed back to the 2nd spot as Don Gerritsen Jr. takes over the race lead.
Now you got to look at that battle for the 4th spot. Roseboom has it, but here comes the 75 of Dylan Workman. Workman now goes into the final transfer spot, and coming with him is Andrew Allers, that B-Mod regular at Rapid Speedway in the 14 machine, working the bottom of the racetrack, battling with the 42 Kyle Roseboom. That is out of the transfer, however. Workman holds the final transfer spot as we race in turn 2.
As Dylan Workman holds that 4th and final transfer spot, now on board with him as he's trying to run down the 03 of Connor Hamilton, 57 of Plegman, and then your top spot runner right now, the 27 of Don Garrettson. Workman to the inside of the track now. You can see that steering wheel with quite movement there, trying to get up to another position, as the 4th spot is really not the place you want to be in, but want to be in at the same time. It looks like Roseboom and looks like Allers battling back behind them as a top 4 kind of breakaway, Sean.
Yeah, I bet Workman would like to get a little bit of insurance, though, as the top 4, again, a bit of an advantage, but still anything can happen. We saw that contact earlier in this B main, and things can change in a hurry. So it's Don Garrettson Jr., Connor Hamilton, Kevin Plegman, and Dylan Workman in the transfer spots. Roseboom runs in 5th. Derek Fisher, Andrew Allers, Chris Schramm, Caleb Johnson, and Dylan Sampson, the top 10, as we work the second half now of B main number 1. Connor Hamilton has got that inside line working. He's sticking it right there with your leader, the 27 of Don Garrettson Jr.
As Workman and Plegman side by side now for that 4th and final transfer spot. Workman gets a better run on the 57 car, and he's going to take over that spot just for a moment coming through the corner. Workman on the inside, Plegman through the middle. Workman's going to have a better run coming off of the corner, and as he slides up in front of Plegman now for that 3rd spot, Kevin Plegman back in that 4th and final transfer spot as he goes way up the track again. 57 car having some handling issues here, now back down to the bottom as Don Garrettson Jr. still with the race lead. Hamilton trying to run him down. Workman up to 3rd now with Plegman, your 4th and final transfer spot.
So Plegman in position number 4 has about a 1 second advantage over Kyle Roseboom, who is still outside of a transfer position. Don Garrettson Jr. working the bottom, and he'll come to the stripe. 2 laps to go in this first of 2 B mains. Garrettson, Hamilton, Workman, Plegman in the transfer spots to go to tonight's big dance.
As we're on board with Hamilton right now, as you can see, way to the inside, almost up against the wall, trying to get a run on Garrettson, just barely missing the barrier as we're on board in the cockpit with him now. Garrettson Jr. still out in front, slides up to the middle groove now as we're going to swap cameras over here now. Garrettson still out in front of Hamilton in that 2nd spot, and then a few car lengths back to Workman in 3rd, and then a few car lengths back to Plegman. As they come to the line, it's going to be Don Garrettson Jr. with the B feature win. Connor Hamilton in 2nd, Dylan Workman in 3rd, and Kevin Plegman takes home your 4th and final transfer spot into tonight's A main.
Roseboom was 5th, Allers 6th, Grilly in 7th, Fisher, Schrum, and Anderson completing the top 10. B feature number 1 into the books. Go to our second last chance showdown with 4 more transfer spots up for grabs. Scotty, let's take a look at the grid.
All right, second B feature coming out here. On the front row is Timothy Allerdings in the 19 with Brett Nielsen to his outside. Troy Shears inside of row 2 with Skylar Devaney to his outside. Dylan Nelson inside of row number 3 with Mark Jacobson to his outside. Lance Ripka starts off P7 with Brock Stout to his outside. Matt Jertowski starts off P9 with Alec Matea in the to his outside, starting off P10. Brian Holing starts 11th with Ryan McCarty to his outside. Dusty Seitz starting 13th with Austin Hahn in 14th, and Michael Rhodes at the back of the pack.
So that's how they line up. 15 cars scheduled here in a B main number 2. Again, 12 laps, top 4 transfer into tonight's A main. Interesting of note in this one, in the last B, we had last week's A main winner finishing 3rd to transfer to the A main. The driver who finished runner-up last Wednesday night, starts inside the second row here in B main number 2. So you change up the cars and you change things up quite a bit on this Sodak iRacing League presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. And Scotty, as we've talked about so much this season, that is exactly what makes this league so great for these drivers and so entertaining for folks like us to watch, in that it's not it may not be the tracks that everybody wants to race at, it may not be the cars that everybody wants, it's a little bit of everything, and those who shine in a certain certain model of car or at a certain track, they've got other weeks where they've really got to work.
But just the sportsmanship between these drivers too, helping one another out with setups and everything, just so everyone has a fighting chance to get to that top spot, is just wonderful. As we're coming to green flag now of B feature number 2, Timothy Allarding's out to the early race lead now, is almost 3 wide for second coming off of turn 2. Oh, trouble, car into the wall is gonna be the 6 car, and he is still straight and yeah, he's still straight as we almost go 4 wide coming into turn number 3. Allarding's out in front. Britt Nielsen in that second spot, and Troy Schurz back to third, as 4th place now being held by Mark Jacobson at 127.
Well, there was a lot of stuff going on off camera there on the front straightaway, with several drivers having some trouble. Top 3 breaking away a little bit. That 4th spot is the one that matters. Mark Jacobson in the 127 has the spot, but he's got pressure from Brock Stout in the 49. Still a long ways to go, as the 6 of Skylar Devaney, he was the car we saw make contact with that inside wall earlier. He's climbed his way back up into the 6th position. So still a long ways to go. Again, for transfer. Right now they are side by side for that position off of turn number 4. Give it to Brock Stout in the 49. He'll run in 4th as they go back to turn number 1, with the 6 of Skylar Devaney closing in on both Stout and Jacobson.
Stout and Jacobson putting up a great battle, as we're going to see Jacobson slide up to the top side of the track, trying to get to the inside of your 4th and final transfer spot at the moment. Brock Stout, Skylar Devaney in that number 6 car, trying to make a move to get to that spot, as well as the top 3 have broken themselves away. Timothy Allarding still with the race lead, Brett Nielsen in 2nd, Troy Schurz in 3rd, and then Brock Stout in that final transfer spot, battling out with the 127 of Jacobson, with Skylar Devaney looking in.
Skylar Devaney has closed on that race for the 4th spot, and also closing in on them is I-90 Speedway regular, the 132 of Brian Hoeing. Hoeing in the yellow car as the car gets out of shape. That's Jacobson. Jacobson was in 5th. He'll lose that spot to the 6th of Devaney. So now Skylar Devaney 1 spot out of a transfer, and closing in on Brock Stout, who's already gained 4 positions in this B main. And coming with Devaney is that 132 of Brian Hoeing. Things going to get exciting here in the closing laps, as several drivers closing in on the 49 of Brock Stout, who continues to ride in the final transfer position.
7 cars battling, as Skylar Devaney gets a little slideways. Brian Hoeing trying to capitalize. 7 cars battling it out. Only 4 will make it. Brock Stout still in that 4th and final transfer spot, as Brian Hoeing, we're used to seeing him run the bottom, still on the bottom side there, trying to run down the Skylar Devaney in the 6 car. Battle for 2nd place, though. Looks like Troy Schurz and Brett Nielsen battling it out, as Timothy Allarding still out in front. Schurz to the bottom of the track, Nielsen through the middle, as they come onto the front stretch here with 2 laps to go. Going on board with Troy Schurz now, trying to pull side by side with Nielsen. Not going to be able to happen. Allarding still out in front, but Troy Schurz not giving up.
Brock Stout continues to have that 4th spot under lock and key, as Shores again takes a look to the inside of Nielsen for the 2nd spot. As we come by the flag stand, we'll see the white next time around. It's Timothy Allarding's, Brett Nielsen, Troy Shores, the top 3. Brock Stout continues to have that final transfer spot. He is 1.1 second ahead of Skylar Devaney and Brian Hoeing. So things starting to settle down here in the closing laps. Now, white flag is out. We've got a battle for 2nd on this white flag lap.
As Brett Nielsen getting into the wall ever so slightly on the front stretch. Troy Schurz not being able to capitalize, but the top 3 have broken themselves away from the rest of the field, sitting safely and going to transfer to tonight's A main, along with Brock Stout who is a few car lengths back. As we come to the checker, Timothy Allarding is going to take home this B feature. Brett Nelson in second, Troy Schurz in third, and Brock Stout, your fourth and final transfer into tonight's A main.
Hoeing will finish fifth. Skylar Devaney was sixth. Mark Jacobson, Matt Jaretowski, Austin Hahn, and Ryan McCarty, the top 10 in Last Chance Showdown number 2 tonight for the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. Oh, just like that, Scotty Too Hottie, we have put all of the qualifying in the books here tonight. We've run our practice. We've run the time trials, 4 heats, 2 Bs. We've got an A main to come our way here after a few minutes of practice on the racetrack. There's also going to be a little track prep session out there, so we'll see the racetrack change quite a bit as we get a little test and tune session on the racetrack before our 35 lap A feature here tonight. And if you're just tuning in, this is the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. Scotty, something we need to talk about we haven't mentioned yet here tonight. We've got some extra awards in our A mains, as we do every week with the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. The first one I want to talk about is the Pivot Company's Lucky Dog Award. It's a $10 weekly award for any of these drivers in the A main. And how do you win it? Well, as the name suggests, from Pivot Companies, the Lucky Dog Award goes to any driver who finishes 4th through 18th. They will draw one number after tonight's A main, and the driver who finishes in that position that they draw picks up that $10 bonus. Also, Scotty, we've got that Handyman Auto Glass Hard Charger Award every week.
Absolutely, we do, and I think it's another $10 to the hard charger, whoever moves up the most spots in every A main that we bring to you on every Wednesday night. Another little thing from the Handyman Auto Glass. A big thank you to them for handing out the hard charger each and every week. And Sean, another thing I just got to mention here, we got through all of that racing caution free.
Yeah, do you think we can do it 35 laps in the A main?
Only time will tell, my friend. Only time will tell. But also just want to give another shout out to our heat race sponsors again: Jack's Custom Rods, Volts Concrete Construction, Rapid Speedway, and the Anna Econo Wash Laundromat. And your A feature being brought to you by the Impact Landscape Designs. Thank you for sponsoring these heat races and A main, and the whole show being brought to you by Jordan Opdahl Construction. Thank you for sponsoring that as well. I do have to give one other shout out, Sean. One of our biggest fans who watches our races quite often, Logan Cunningham. He's having surgery tomorrow on his back, just 3 years old, and he is watching tonight. So Logan, we miss you, buddy. Good luck tomorrow, and we will definitely be keeping you in our prayers. But enjoy tonight's A main, little buddy. We hope to see you soon.
Excellent. Good luck to him. Also, Scotty, as last week you had the week off, you got to watch as the first time we had the official John Kraus IMCA Racing Team Back Row Challenge. And we'll find out, any of the drivers in the top 5 can take this back row challenge. If they can win the A main, it is a $300 payday. Yes, $300 actual dollars for virtual racing. All the driver has to do is give up a top 5 starting spot, go to the back, come back through the field, and win it. John Kraus and Brad Franken, the John Kraus IMCA Sprint Car Racing Team, and they will hand out the $300. We saw driver gave it a whirl last week, come up short. The week before that, Nate Barger tried it. He come up a couple spots short, so we will see what happens in that one. I also have a photo here from Trey Thiesenbits. Yes, the paint scheme you sent me, Trey, looks much better than your car tonight. He sent me workings of a sprint car for himself, so that looked a lot better. Just less than a minute to go in practice here tonight, Scotty. Looking at this track, it is getting wider and wider.
That it is, and it's going to be, if we saw anything in those heat races and those B features, you're going to be able to throw a blanket, I think, around most of the field, as they're going to be door-to-door racing through this entire A main, I'm pretty sure. So also to those of you who are tuning in on other pages that this broadcast is being pushed to, thank you for joining us for Racers for Autism, DeYoung Racing, Advantage Motorsports, Bad Fast TV, Speed Sport TV, Rapid Speedway. If you're joining us on those pages, thank you for joining in as well. As Jimmy Scott just says, let's go racing, hoorah. Yes, Jimmy, we will get to that hay main in just a few moments.
So exciting to see Jimmy there at Raceway Park here for the first time a couple weeks ago. You could, he was like a kid in a candy store down there, man. That was, he was excited to be at that racetrack for the first time, and who can blame him? Trying to scroll through some of the Facebook comments. Hey, if you're watching, whatever page you're watching on, as we're getting close to A-Main time here, give it a like, give it a share. Most importantly, say hi. We'd love to know that you're tuned in here tonight as the field begins to form up for week number 4, the main event yet to come our way, brought to us by Impact Landscape Designs. It's time for the starting lineup. It goes like this, Scotty.
Brock Stout is going to start 20th with Kevin Plagman in the 57 to his inside.
Starting outside row number 9, it's the 12 of Troy Shores, and inside him, last week's A-Main winner, the 75 of Dylan Workman.
Outside of row number 8 is going to be Brett Nielsen with Connor Hamilton to his inside.
Row 7 on the outside, 19, Timothy Allerdings, and starting inside the 7th row from 13th, Rock Rapids, Iowa, the 27 of Don Garrettson Jr.
Bruce Jones starts on the outside of row number 6 with Trey Thiesenbitz to his side, pushing off P11.
Your top 10 starters go like this. Starting position number 10, it'll be the 0 of Alex Shriver. And going from 9th from Madison, South Dakota, in car number 23, it's Ice Cold Michelob, Michaela Volts.
Starting outside of row number 4 is going to be Travis Schurz with no lift, Nate Barger in the 98 to his inside.
We go to row number 3 on the outside. That's where the 25 of Shane Lewis lines up. And going from position number 5 in the 23 tonight, it's Mitch Lupkes.
Outside of row number 2, Tyler Johnson in the 5 spot with John Kuntz in the 13, your current point leader, to his inside.
And here is the front row for tonight's Impact Landscape Designs A-Main for the Sodak iRacing League, presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction in the street stocks at Volusia Speedway. Starting on the outside in the number 20, it's Austin Opdahl. And on the pole, he's got 2 podium finishes with the league this season. It is the number 97 of Tanner Koster.
So it is going to be 35 laps here tonight for the Street Stocks at Volusia. Ladies and gentlemen at home, get up on your feet, stretch a while, give these drivers a wave. They're putting on a show for you this week. Jimmy, this one's for you. It is from Volusia, your Sodak iRacing Series Street Stocks. Hey-oh, hoorah!
Nice, nice. The only thing I could do that could top that would be Sodak iRacing, you wanted the best. You've got me instead. 35 laps on the board. We're coming to that green flag here in turn number 4. The Impact Landscape Designs A-Main is underway.
And it's going to be Tanner Koster out to the early race lead. Here comes Opdahl in second, 3 wide for that second spot. John Kuntz now side by side with the 14 of Austin Opdahl. John Kuntz in the 13. Tyler Johnson running 4th right now, still 3 wide almost, coming off of pole, 4 wide coming off of turn number 4 as Tanner Koster leads lap number 1.
As Ryan Dugan would call it, a wild pack of dogs as they fight for position through turns 1 and 2. Tanner Koster, your early race leader, 3 wide for the second spot. Here comes the 5 of Tyler Johnson up the inside. He's got Kuntz in the middle, and on the top is that 14 of Austin Opdahl. Opdahl going to slip back to the 4th spot as Koster leads lap number 2.
Koster still with the race lead. Tyler Johnson moving up in that second spot. Here comes Opdahl on the outside. John Kuntz on the inside. No lift. Nate Barger in the 98 going to try to make it 3 wide coming into turn number 3. But all out in front is the 97 of Koster. John Kuntz slides up in front of Opdahl there with the 23 of Mitch Lupkes now into the mix. John Kuntz on the outside looking in. And then Mitch Lupkes on Opdahl. And here comes Ice Cold Michelob in the 23 with Travis Schurz behind him.
Watching the 98 of Nate Barger work the bottom of the racetrack to perfection. He has gone +4 since the drop of the green and now runs in the 3rd spot as they head to turn number 1 as Kuntz works on his outside in the number 13. side by side for position, but Barger on the bottom grabbed the moisture. He's got third now in front of Coots, and then it is Lupkis completing the top 5. We come by to the 5th lap now of this 35 lap Impact Landscape Designs A main.
Action-packed A main so far. Tanner Koster out in front. Opdahl way up the track though, as Travis Schurz behind Ice Cold Michelob. He's going to try to put it side by side with him deeper in the field. Koster out in front, Johnson in second, Barger in third, and then here comes the 4th place of John Coots in that 13, as he's right behind him. Travis Schurz on board with him now, as he's looking at a pair of 23 cars in front of him, going to try to pull side by side with Michaela Bolts here in the 23. Travis Schurz are on the bottom, 23 cars slightly through the middle now, as he's trying to navigate the corner here, but Tanner Koster all out in front as he clicks off another lap, Sean.
The Costers got some company as the 5 of Tyler Johnson starting to search around on the racetrack, and he has been running the top of the track and cutting in to Koster's lead. They come through turn number 4, Koster on the bottom, and the 5 of Johnson working the top of the racetrack and closing in as well is at 98 of Nate Barger. The bottom right now, the preferred groove for the street stocks around Volusia, as we still work the first third of tonight's Impact Landscape Design A main.
Nate Barger in the 98 on board with him. Normally runs the top side, now running on the bottom this week. For the street stocks, Tanner Koster still with the race lead. Tyler Johnson in that second spot has a different camera angle now from Barger. You see John Coots and Mitch Lupkis running side by side right behind Barger. And then it's going to be Ice Cold Michelob in the 23 back in 6th. Tanner Koster, he's got company coming as Tyler Johnson slides way up to the top of the track, trying to search for that extra traction to get around the 97, Sean.
Tanner Koster, your race leader, finished 3rd the opening week at Knoxville. He finished 3rd again last week in the 360 sprints. Between that was week 2 at Charlotte when Tyler Johnson went to victory lane. Those 2 drivers running 1st and 2nd. Johnson slides up the racetrack, grabs the moisture, and keeps his sights on that 97 leading out front. Top 5 breaking away just a bit. And a long green flag run here to start tonight's Impact Landscape Designs A main. That 5 of Tyler Johnson starting to build some momentum on the top side of the racetrack. He'll get the nose to the right rear corner of the 97 of Koster as they come off the corner. Koster then back to the lead down the front straightaway and in turns 1 and 2.
Still a battle for the lead as Johnson tried to get side by side with Costa there, but great battle deeper on in the field as we still have this battle for the race lead with Johnson on the top side, Koster on the low side here. 14 of 35 complete as Koster still holding his own out in front, with Johnson trying to make a hard charge as he's going to pull side by side with him coming off turn number 2 onto the backstretch now. Koster with the slight advantage. Koster the inside, Johnson through the middle. Nate Barger on the outside in position number 3 looking in. And we're going to go on board now with Tyler Johnson as you see him poke the nose right to the back bumper. Going to give him a little contact, a little shot in the shorts to Koster as the number 5 now still not being able to get by the 97 as a caution comes out. Lap 15 of 35. First caution of the night, Sean.
Wow, and those were some pretty exciting laps here early on in this one. Is trying to find what may have happened in deep in the field to start the caution here. Looking to see if Connor Hamilton had some kind of trouble in the 3 car. Oh, indeed he did. Let's see if I can find that again. What happened to him as that Tony's Pizza, Matt Sturwald looking ride. Oh, chain reaction. Shane Lewis got out of, had to check up for someone, and then the 3 of, almost said Sturwald, the 3 of Hamilton checked up, got tagged, went around, and that puts us under our first caution here tonight as we are not quite halfway through our A-Main event. Again, brought to us by Impact Landscape Designs.
As you know, we had battle for the lead up front between Tanner Koster and Tyler Johnson. While that was happening, battle for the 6th position between Travis Schurz, Michaela Bolts, Austin Opdahl, and Don Garrettson Jr. with Thiesenwitz in the mix as well. So those cars being able to throw a blanket around them from 6th on back. But Tyler Johnson, though, seems to be searching for something on that top side. Let's see if the track's going to come around and give him the advantage.
You know, and it's been interesting. A lot of the drivers wanting to go to the bottom. iRacing hasn't figured out the more cars run a line, the more that line wears out. So that bottom groove has been going away. We saw that here just a little bit ago. Tanner Koster got the 97 car pretty loose in turn number 2 before the 5 of Johnson made a little contact with him. So will that bottom line stick around? We've still got 20 laps to go in this Impact Landscape Designs A-Main. Field gets doubled up for the restart in turn number 4. Tanner Koster, Tyler Johnson, Nate Barger, John Coots, Mitch Lupkis. The top 5 as we come back to the green and back into action in this A-feature event for the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction.
Tanner Koster out to the early race lead again, but here comes Tyler Johnson on the outside, going to make a move here, coming off turn number 2 onto the backstretch. Tanner Koster with a slight advantage. Tyler Johnson now side by side. Here comes Mitch Lupkis in the 13 with, John Coots in the 13 with Nate Barger on the bottom side. And then it's Mitch Lupkis and Travis Scherr side by side for the race lead. Now contact going into the corner. Tyler Johnson's going to get the slight advantage coming off the corner. But on the bottom side, Tanner Koster is still there side by side now for the race lead as they come into turn number 3.
Field just about like they came back to that last green flag restart, side by side all through the field, as Johnson will lead at the line now to start lap number 18. We've got our second leader of this event, but Koster on that bottom, as we've seen so many times, a big strong run off of turn number 2. They race back to turn number 3, just behind them Barger and Coots racing for position, and behind them it's Shores and Lupkis racing for the position. Back to the line, and by a very slight margin, it's still Tyler Johnson.
Close racing for all positions here out on the track right now with Tyler Johnson with your race lead in the number 5. Tanner Koster trying to regain the top spot as we're halfway, and the caution comes out once again. Great racing door to door for all the spots in the top 10 here, Sean.
Oh, we had a Swift truck driver convention in turn number 2 with several drivers involved. Looks like these events all are dings. Plagman was involved. Brett Nielsen is involved. Of course, Brett gets caught up in every wreck there's ever been on iRacing. He, of course, had to be involved, and looks like maybe Connor Hamilton may have been involved again. So several cars getting together over there in turn number 2 puts us under the caution.
Tell you what, though, Sean, we had gone caution-free until we had 15 laps in the books, and now a second caution of the night. Lots of great racing, though. Like I said earlier, street stocks normally put on the best show, and is it safe to say, I mean, this is probably one of the best races we've seen here in the 4 weeks so far?
Boy, it is so hard to say because every race we've had has been a good one. This one is right there. What I'm really interested in here right now, Scotty, is for several laps, for probably the last 15 laps, Tyler Johnson's been running the top with that number 5 machine, and he's used that line to get to the lead in front of Tanner Koster. Koster has been on the very bottom since the drop of the green, but with this double file restart, that's going to switch. Right now, Tyler Johnson has to line up on the inside, and Koster has to line up at the top. That could make a big difference when we race to turns 1 and 2 when we come back to the green here off of 4.
And like I said earlier, Nate Barger normally running the top side each and every week in the 98 car, now on the bottom side. So different to see that 98 running the bottom side of the racetrack. John Coots to his outside. Might see position change here coming to the green, Sean.
So the pace truck ready to drop him off in turn number 4. Goodness, real racetracks don't do it like this. The truck would get hit. But we are back to green as they race the turn number 1. Tyler Johnson's going to have to go to the bottom. Koster, well, he hasn't been up there. He's in the middle of the racetrack for the first time with the 98 of Barger taking a look to the inside. John Coots right there and into the top 5 from one of Travis Shores. Shores has gone +3 in tonight's A-Main thus far. We've got a battle for the lead off of turn number 4. Johnson has found his way back to the top groove. Koster will go back to the inside in turn number 1.
Johnson with the race lead as we're almost 3 wide for the lead there. Koster in the middle, Barger on the bottom. John Coots in the 13, which currently runs in that 4th position, trying to make up some ground here as he's going to slide through the middle. Coster through the middle as well, now back down to the bottom, but Johnson up top in that number 5. Side by side now as they come through the corners onto the backstretch. Johnson still holding his line on the top side. And as we go on board with him right now, as you're looking kind of behind him, as you see, side by side, close racing, no contact with Tanner Coster. John Coots right behind them, hoping someone is going to make a bobble so he can capitalize. Nate Barger in there as well, as great door-to-door racing for this top spot with 13 to go, Sean.
And it was almost literally door to door, a couple of virtual inches separating the top 2 drivers, as Coster really starting to let the tail hang sideways as he works the bottom of the racetrack, and they're nearly dead heat at the line. Back to turn number 1. They were working the inside of the racetrack nice and easy earlier. Now they let the tails hang out, getting the car sideways, and we remain side by side in the top 4 as we race through turn number 3, the slimmest of margins in those drivers.
Johnson and Coster racing for that top spot. Coons and Barger racing for the 3rd spot as Tanner Coster slips up just a little bit. John Coots tried to capitalize, wasn't able to do so, and now back in 5th. Travis Schurz in the 1 car. He's into the mix as well, as he's going to tuck behind Nate Barger there, as Coster on the bottom side almost had that slight advantage coming to the line. Tyler Johnson still out in front though, side by side with Tanner Coster, and behind them side by side along with Travis Schurz in the mix now for that 3rd spot between Coots and Barger. This is anybody's race to win with 10 laps to go.
Oh my, is it a close one off of turn number 4? That bottom group coming back in. Coster leads at the line in the 97, but coming back, sideways after contact, and Johnson has trouble. Turn number 1, the yellow is out, and it happens to be the driver who had been leading the 5 of Tyler Johnson around in turn number 1, and we're going to have to make Ryan do some work here. We're going to need to see a replay of this one over there in turns 1 and 2, Scotty. That is what I would call a byproduct of really, really close racing here in this A-Main.
Replay will be coming up shortly here as Tanner Coster tried to pull a slide job on Tyler Johnson, making it stick but not able to avoid contact, and the 5 car just goes around. Tough luck for Tyler Johnson in the 5 car. Such a great race, and now we're going to see different battles up front.
Boy, that was the slightest, I mean the slightest of contact over there in that battle for position. It is, wow, a byproduct, like we said, of really close racing out front. Tyler Johnson gets the short end of it and is going to fall to the tail of the field. Tanner Coster, your new race leader, with John Coots joining him on that opening row when we come back to the green. What a race this has been, Scotty, and we still have just shy of 10 laps to go.
Yes, it has, and great racing from the front to the back, it seems, side by side, door to door. Great action shots. Like I said, Nate Barger, normally on the top side each week, finds himself racing on the bottom, trying to get that right groove to move forward. Michaela Bolt still in your top 10. Don Garrison Jr. Single file restart now. Tanner Coster out in front. John Kuntz behind him in 2nd. Nate Barger up to 3rd. Travis Schurz in 4th. And Mitch Lupkus in the 23 with Michaela Bolts behind him in the 23 as well.
So with less than 10 laps to go, they put us into a single file restart. Coster's going to have control of it. We get set to break that single file formation. Back to the green we go. And I just saw the front end of Don Garrison's number 27. He has used up the nose cone on that car in this A-Main. But it is Coster leading us off turn number 2. Here comes Barger to the inside of Coots, side by side down the back straightaway for P2.
Like you said, the bottom groove coming back into play here as Barger on the bottom to the inside of Coots. Coots on the top side as we're on board with Barger right now, as Travis Schurz into the mix as well. Going to give a little shot in the shorts to the 98 of Barger. Schurz to the inside. A little bit of contact between the 1 and the 98, but they're still Green and still straight 97 of Tanner Coster, though, with the race lead. John Coots in second, side by side for third between Travis Schurz and Nate Barger.
Boy, they were 3 wide in less than the bottom half of the racetrack there last time off turn number 2. Things were close as here comes the 98 of Barger. Good run to the inside of Coots. Racing for second as the 97 of Tanner Coster continues to run that middle line. Does Barger have something on the bottom for those top 2? We'll find out as we're less than 5 laps to go in this Impact Landscape Designs A-Main for the Sodak iRacing Series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction.
Tanner Coster in the 97 has led most of this race, running with Tyler Johnson, who got caught up in a wreck. Coster back out in front now. Coots trying to run him down, but he's got company from the 98 of Nate Barger. As Barger through the middle, now to the low side now, trying to get a good run. Looks like the bottom side's starting to go away once again. Travis Schurz running the bottom and cannot make any ground from that 4th place spot. But with 4 laps to go, Tanner Coster still out in front as they're still battling out for P2 right behind him.
Still a close race here after more than 30 laps around the half mile. Volusia, Coots in that second spot. Now can he find the drive to chase down the 97 of Coster, who has been masterful on the exit of turn number 2 all night long. He'll lead him off of turn number 4 as Coots gets the 13 sideways. Contact with Barger as they race for second. Back to turn number 1 they go. Barger with the advantage on the bottom, and here comes the one of Travis Schurz. They are side by side for the second spot as Coster tried to leave him in his dust in the closing laps here at Volusia. They'll work off of turn number 4. The white flag set to fly, but the caution is out. Yellow flag.
Nate Barger was able to move himself into that second spot. A little contact with John Kuntz there as we're on board at the moment under caution with Travis Schurz, who was in the mix as well. Both drivers making contact, but able to keep the cars straight. That's just great racing right there from the top 3, Sean.
It has been fantastic racing up front as finding what happened on the incident here. There were 3 wide on the back straightaway, and Brock Stout got the short end of the stick. And by short end of the stick, I mean he got the broadside of the wall on the back straightaway and spun around the 49 car. That's what put us under the caution. And now we are set for a good old-fashioned 2-lap shootout here tonight. Boy, you know, just when it looked like Tanner Coster had the checkered flag and was ready to take the virtual trophy home, we're going to put Nate Barger right there on his back bumper for 2 laps around Volusia.
And don't count out that 13 of John Coots just yet, along with Travis Schurz. Travis has been really good normally at these races, having some tough luck the past couple of weeks. So don't count out that 13 in that 1 car just yet, Sean.
Absolutely would agree with you on that one, but maybe, just maybe, the iRacing gods owe one to Nate Barger after his luck last week. He led nearly the entirety of the feature here, had the thing, it looked to be his, and then fuel ran dry on the final lap, and he would settle for the 5th spot. Does he get his revenge here tonight? If he does, it's going to come at the expense of Tanner Coster. We're going to find out here real soon.
Revenge or redemption for that 98 car as they're going to come into turn number 3 for a green-white checkered finish. Pace car is going to dive into the infield. Green flag's going to come back out. Tanner Coster with the lead. And here comes Nate Barger. John Kuntz, a little shot to the shorts of the 98 car. Nate Barger on the inside of the track. Coster through the middle. John Kuntz side by side with Travis Schurz now for that 3rd spot. Travis Schurz still side by side as they come to turn number 3. Coster with the race lead. Barger in that 2nd spot, trying to get a good run here off turn number 4. White flag is out. 1 lap to go as we're on board with Travis Schurz still side by side with John Kuntz there. As you see Nate Barger doing everything he can just to get around the 97 car coming to the backstretch. He's going to have 2 more corners to try and do it. He's going to throw it in deep. He's going to be able to make it stick. Rod not going to. Tanner Coster in the 97 taking home your A-Main win here at Volusia.
The 98 of Nate Barger will place second. John Coots, a good run for the points leader. He'll finish third. Travis Shores will go +4 to finish in the fourth spot. Mitch Lepkus finishes in fifth. Dylan Workman out of the B main here tonight. He is your hard charger. He'll go +11 in the 75 car and finish in the sixth spot. Caleb Volts was seventh. Don Gerritsen Jr. eighth. Troy Shores ninth, and 10th place tonight, Austin Opdahl. 11th going to Shane Lewis. 12th to Connor Hamilton as Tanner Koster celebrates in style on the front straightaway. It's 13th going to Timothy Allerdings. Alex Schriever was 14th. Brett Nielsen 15th. Kevin Plagman 16th. Trey Thiesenwitz 17th. Bruce Jones 18th. 19th tonight to Tyler Johnson. And Brock Stout will finish in the 20th spot. Mentioning there +11 in the A main for Dylan Workman, finishing in the 6th spot. He'll pick up the Handyman Autoglass Hard Charger Award here tonight for his efforts. The feature winner from last week in the 360s at this track, coming out of the B main, and salvages a 6th place run here tonight. As we'll get a word, if you're watching us right now, we'll get a word from our top 3 finishers here in just a moment. But Scotty, before we talk to them, what a race again here tonight, right down there to the end. Had no idea how this one was going to settle out.
Another great A main race by these guys, and not only just in the A main, but in the heat races as well. A lot of side-by-side racing. Like I said, a couple times in the broadcast tonight, the street stocks put on the best show. It doesn't matter if it's out on the real track or on the virtual track. Put on the best show. These guys drove a great, amazing race, and finally good to see the 97 car in victory lane.
Absolutely. After a couple of podium finishes in the 3rd spot earlier this season, it is great to see the 97 of Tanner Koster in victory lane tonight at Volusia. Tanner joining us here now. Let's talk about that race. Tanner, I have not seen a closer race on iRacing than tonight's event. That thing was wild.
Oh, dude. For cars that are so underpowered and almost wide open the whole time, that was probably one of the harder races I've had to fight to win.
Are you sweating right now? That's what we need to know.
If I'm not, I'm pretty damn close.
Talk about that battle earlier on in the feature with the 5 of Johnson. You guys were literally door to door so many times.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was a heat. I know one time I looked at the lap standings and he beat me to the line by like 4/1000ths of a second, and I'd be right back with him. I was really hoping we wouldn't get that first caution because I thought I could hold him off, and then when he got by me, I wasn't sure I was gonna get him back, but I moved up a lane a little bit, running a little bit more in the slick, and I'm like, all right, we might have something for him yet here. And we made a little contact. I don't know if I slid up or he kind of came down, or a mixture of the two, but tough situation. I definitely didn't mean to do anything like that to him, but God, it still wasn't easy after that either. I really wasn't hoping for that last caution coming to the white flag, but I guess it all worked out.
It does work out that you get to put your 97 there in victory lane tonight. Was it a game plan from the beginning to stick mostly to the bottom of this racetrack?
Yeah, especially the setup I had it. You can run that top and hold your own, but I think the bottom ultimately is where you want to be. Especially if you're leading, it's way better to be defensive down there rather than letting someone slide under you. So,
well, things have to feel good tonight. You had 2 podium finishes coming into this one. You were sitting 5th in the points, and now you finally get into that win column. Congratulations on the win.
Yeah, it feels good. Thanks.
All right, Tanner Koster in victory lane here tonight with the street stocks at Volusia. We'll have a chance to hear from our 2nd place finisher, Nate Barger, standing by with Scotty DeYoung.
Nate, after the hard luck last week, running out of fuel, now finding yourself back in 2nd here. Normally, we're used to seeing you on the top of the track. Now, this week on the bottom, just different setup playing into this week, or what was your game plan?
Yeah, these cars, they don't have enough power to run the top. I mean, we're wide open around the bottom, so you can't carry enough speed around the top to do that.
Coming into those closing laps, after Johnson was caught up in that wreck and moved back into the field, how hard was it just to keep up with Tanner in the 97, just to try to make a run for that top spot?
You just got to stay right next to the wall and stay in what moisture's left and just kind of ride.
it seemed like the track just really seemed to slick off with that bottom groove going away, then coming back, then going away again. Was that just a little harder to run the bottom? Did you think about going to the top side, or what was going through your head at that time?
I was racing pretty hard with, other cars the whole race, so I didn't really have a whole heck of a lot of choice. I just kind of rode around the bottom and played what I got handed to me, and I guess we ended up all right. So,
As you were side by side with John Coots, who took home third for most of the race there. What's it just like running with these guys each and every week, and just the setup that you guys share with each other back and forth just to make for some awesome racing on Wednesday nights?
yeah, we play a lot throughout the winter, and you can definitely tell, the top 10 cars are usually about the same every week. I mean, unless you got some bad luck in a heat race, but that's about all you got to do, get through a heat race pretty good and get a decent starting spot, and don't be dumb.
Are you looking forward to the modified race coming up here?
Oh, yeah, well, I hope me in the top of that thing.
All right. Well, we will see you next week there. That is Nate Barger in the 98 coming in second place tonight. As now we'll hear from third place, the number 13, John Coots, standing by with Sean Neested. Sean?
John, you've been so consistent all year long, but finally on the podium with that number 13 has to feel good.
It feels good to run consistently, but it's a lot better when you get to talk to you at the end of the night. I can tell you that.
I don't come with any good-looking trophy girls or anything here, but at the end of the night, when you're sitting on the front straightaway, it's been a good night, especially after such close racing. You guys were three wide there a couple of times.
I knew Nate was going to put up a heck of a battle there, and there was a few laps I felt like we definitely had a better car on the top, and then he'd come right back by me on the bottom. It was just, hitting your marks. Whoever hit it better was definitely going to get the better drive. These things are so underpowered. If you keep the tires underneath them, that's how you do it.
Is there a lot of patience with these cars? Because we could see some guys really break the cars loose at times, yet we talk about not a lot of power in them. So what is the balance with these to be consistent up front?
The hard part of the bottom is there's two ways to get around here. You can really get into the corner hard and then kind of let off, or you can get in soft and then get in it real hard afterwards. But you got to try not to get into the back of people. That's the biggest thing. And when they start to slide up on you, it can really change your line, and then you lose a lot of momentum.
That was one thing I wanted to ask you guys in the top three is how tempting was it to just go blowing into the corner at some point and move the guy in front of you out of the way? But we know that's not the way this league works, but boy, it would have been tempting. So many times I would have thought.
Oh, you definitely want to be able to move a guy out of the way, but that's not how you want to win a race either. So just kind of ride around and see how it plays out in front of you.
John, congratulations on a podium run here tonight. Looking forward to seeing you carry that points lead into USA Speedway next week.
Thanks, Sean.
So John Coots will finish in the third spot. Nate Barger, runner-up, and your winner tonight, Tanner Koster, in the Impact Landscape Designs Main. Again, the Handyman Auto Glass Hard Charger Award tonight goes to Dylan Workman, the 75 car gaining 11 positions to finish in the sixth spot. Scotty, we'll close the books on this one next week. We're back in the 360 sprint cars. We go to the USA Speedway. That one looking forward to next Wednesday night here on the Advantage Racing TV Facebook page. Next Wednesday already. Can't wait for that one.
Absolutely. I mean, great racing so far in this series with this being race number 4 out of 10. Street Stocks just put on a great show tonight. Like you said, Sean, next week back in the 360s, see what these guys can do around the USA Speedway. And once again, join us for another great night of racing action from these guys for the Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction.
And I have to say, next week is one of the races I am really looking forward to. The USA Speedway is a very big racetrack, long straightaways, but the corners are relatively tight for a big racetrack, and it builds an awesome cushion to run around the outside of the track. So really looking forward to seeing the 360 sprints next week from USA Speedway, and that modified race that you mentioned coming up in 2 weeks. That's at a tight little bull ring named Lanier. That's going to be an exciting one too. We are getting into the heart of the center part of the schedule for the Sodak iRacing series presented by Jordan Opdahl Construction. If your folks are tuned in, we look forward to having you back here next week. Scotty, my friend, it is always fun. These races never disappoint. Always a good time with you and Ryan and Blake and the entire crew there from Advantage Racing TV. Thanks for letting me letting me be part of the action and the fun here tonight. I've got a big smile on my face here in the basement of my house.
And wouldn't want to have it any other way. And Tana running the computer tonight, bringing you all those good shots and whatnot, and the graphics as well. So thank you, Tana, for your hard work tonight. And to everyone tuning in on Advantage Racing TV and all the other pages we were pushed out to tonight, be sure to join us next week again at 8 o'clock for a 360 cars at USA Speedway. So until next time, please be smart, be safe, and we will see you at the races.